What does any of this have to do with Carlita?
Joe Deckelmeyer, Screen Rant. Arkasha, congratulations, it's finally here. The First Omen is finally here. Now look, creating a prequel to a story with such a definitive ending as The Omen presents a unique challenge. How did you ensure that The First Omen could stand on its own while also leading seamlessly into the original Omen?
Yeah, well, I think what was so wonderful is having that ending, because I think the biggest question that people have when they see The Omen is, where did Damien come from?
Sure.
And so once you have that answered and you're dovetailing into the 1976 version, that gives you all of this real estate to play with, you know, which was really important to us to create this new world and also explore this character, Margaret, who I think, you know, when I first read the script, I was so excited to explore this novitiate. And she's a very complex character. And because we're telling the story all through her point of view, it was really important to bring people into her internal landscape and get them to know who she was, so that when she started to fall apart, you understood what was happening. And so I felt really lucky to be able to have all that real estate to play with.
It's incredible. Now, speaking of Margaret, Nell Tiger-Free disappears into the role. She is incredible. What did she bring to the role of Margaret that wasn't on the page?
Well, we knew that Margaret, just in general, like, she's going to be in every scene.
Sure.
She's going to be on set every day, and it's going to be quite a boulder to carry, you know. So finding somebody with that strength, and then also the power to be vulnerable constantly was really important. And then we met Nell, and she's such a powerhouse, and there was such a gut feeling that this is Margaret. And then Nell is like you met her. She's a very, like, just a beautiful person to be around. And so immediately you just fall in love with Margaret, because it's like Nell brought, I feel like, a lot of her lovely personality to Margaret. And she's like very endearing and very relatable. Like, there's this moment where she's in her novitiate outfit and she's trying to stand very still and wait in the hallway, and then she just slips, and she gets a little embarrassed and tries to, cover up. But I don't know, for some reason that moment was so endearing and made her such a human. Like, Nell just made Margaret such a human right off the bat.
That's incredible. Yeah. Now, sometimes making a horror movie can be a very intense experience. Nell was telling me that on set, like a crucifixion broke, like behind the scenes on set, a crucifixion broke at one point. Somebody was attacked by a murder of crows. When you were making this film, was there anything, any behind the scenes moments that stand out to you while making The First Omen?
Well, you know what? People ask this, and I feel so stupid, because I think I was so tunnel visioned that the devil could have been right behind me with his pitchfork, and I would have just been like, action, Like, I think I was so in the world. But it is really, you do hear whispers of stuff afterwards, and it is, when you're agreeing to be part of this reality, you have to believe in it.
Sure.
And I think that when you believe in it, you welcome it in. And I think that, like Ralph, for example, Ralph Ineson there was some strange things, like he was attacked by a dog the day before our rehearsal. Yeah, it's like we're waiting for him, and then somebody called and said he's in the hospital. I was like, oh my God, please tell me that dog wasn't a Rottweiler, yeah, I think his Uber got lost on the way to the airport and accidentally drove him past the church where Father Brennan in the original is murdered.
Whoa.
And like, just very strange little coincidences that I heard happen to other people.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, there's a ton of fans that love the original film and are really anticipating this film. Can you talk about any Easter eggs for eagle-eyed fans of The Omen that they may catch in this film without going into like spoilery territory?
Yeah, well, I think it's exciting because there's certain characters from the original that pop up in our film, So it's you'll see Spoleto again, and then obviously the world needs more Gregory Peck in it, so we'll have a Gregory Peck moment, and then also, just for me as a kid, I was always really obsessed with the 666 birthmark.
Sure.
So that's really fun to explore that mythology, or it was for me, while making this film. Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, what personal marks do you believe that The First Omen will leave on the horror genre, and what makes this a must-see for horror enthusiasts?
Yeah, well, I think what is really exciting is that a lot of more and more women are getting into the horror space, and I'm very interested in body horror, and I think when you ask the question of where does Damien come from, that means you're inherently telling a story about birth
Sure.
and about the female body, and so getting to explore body horror as it pertains to the female body was really exciting, and I think exploring that more through just this lens of pure fear, I think, and not glorifying it or fetishizing it, I think there's a lot to be done there, you
Right.
know? So, yeah.
Now, since 1976, the trajectory of horror has changed. What's expected of the horror movies now that's different than movies then? And how do you stay true to the era while updating it for a modern audience?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we wanted the film to be referential to not just the content but the style and the feel of the 1970s horror films that are so close and dear to all of our hearts. But I think what we wanted to do was modernize it through the content that we were talking about, and I think the reason why the original Omen was so successful was because it was talking about social anxieties. It was talking about, this mistrust in institution and authority, and also this distrust of a younger generation that was coming up through the counterculture. And I think we wanted to also use this film as a way to express, communal fears, because I think that's what the horror genre is for, right? It's a real communal experience, and fun to have really intense dialogues through the genre. So I think it felt very relevant and pertinent to make this film right now.
It's incredible. Now, there's a lot of buzz around this film already, and a lot of positive buzz on social media. Are there any plans of expanding the Omen universe now for you? Have you already started thinking about other future Omen tales to tell?
Oh, there's so many questions and so many adventures, I feel like, in the Omen universe, so it's hard to work on a film and not think about all these tangent stories. So yeah, there's like a spider web in my brain. But I hope that the Omen franchise keeps expanding because it's one of my favorites.
Now, the last question I have for you is Richard Donner famously went on to direct Superman, one of the most iconic superhero movie of all time after The Omen. And I know you dip your toes into the superhero genre a little bit with Legion for an episode. Is there a character either in the DCU or the MCU that you'd like to take a crack at and bring your directing style to?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'd have to really think about that. I think I really love the horror genre. It's very fitting for my personality. And I love the story of a woman coming undone. So I think anything in that realm I feel very comfortable with. But yeah.
Well, look, congratulations on this film. I love it. You know this. We've spoken the last 3 days about it. But yeah, this film is fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for all your
Thank
kind
you.
words.
You're
yeah.
amazing. Thank you.
You're amazing.
Take care, Akasha.